Pay URA visit.
Why would anyone visit URA, of all places?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Capone knows.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same here. And here too. Watch every move. Record every number so you can plan better. No matter the size of your dream, tomorrow's success belongs to those who keep today.
Good morning and welcome to today's Tax Mchuzi episode. Thank you for tuning in and joining us today. For today's topic, we are diving into the benefits of keeping and having proper records, business records. We are going to learn about how to keep them, what is the use of having them, and how do we go about having the proper records for our businesses. Thank you so much. Today I'm joined by a tax expert, a lady. She'll be introducing herself. My name is Elizabeth Nakiru and I'm hosting you for today's show. Irene, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And please introduce yourself.
My name is Ndagire Irene. I'm from the Taxpayer Literacy Unit under Domestic Taxes. Thank you viewers for joining our discussion.
Yes, Irene, it's good to have you today and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too.
Yes, today let's start off. What is a business record?
Thank you. A business record is a document that shows the transactions that have happened for a given business. Any document that can prove that this transaction actually happened in your business is referred to as a business record. That can be physical.
Yes.
For example, a paper.
Okay.
It can be any receipt or invoice, or it can be electronic. Someone sent you an email requesting for a given item in your business or a given transaction or sale, and then you keep that email as backup for your business. That is also an example of the business record.
Thank you, Irene. What kind of business records does a taxpayer need to keep?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Whenever there is a transaction in a business, everything that can back it up is called a business record.
Yes.
For example, if you have rent, you're paying rent to your landlord. When that landlord gives their receipt, that will be a business record. If you make any sale, the receipts that you issue or invoices are also your business records. If you have employees, we advise you to give them appointment letters. They are business records. Those appointment letters will be able to spell out your terms and conditions with the employees, the salaries that you give them, the taxes that you're going to deduct from them, and any other conditions, for example, things to do with their leave allowances. Every document that you can give to your employees will be a business record. Then we can have, like I've said, there are customers that send you mails requesting for supply of given items. That information is also kept as your business record. There are scenarios whereby you spend but no one gives their receipt, but we advise you to also record such expenditures. Examples are transport. If you go to work by public means, for example, taxi or border, usually they don't give records or receipts, but we advise you to record such expenditure. And my advice to our taxpayers is to make the records whenever they happen. Do not wait for a month to end and start thinking about where you've spent and the things that you have sold. Every time a transaction happens, please make a record of that transaction. You can make records for any item that will help you fill out the returns at the end of the financial year or the month, depending on what returns you're filling.
Yes.
There are things in the balance sheet, the items in the balance sheet. For example, items to do with your debtors. If you've not been keeping records, it means you get to the year end and you not know how much people owe you or how much money you owe to your creditors. So we advise you to keep a record of every transaction. And these transactions differ depending on your nature of business. My transactions in rental are not the same as the other transactions in business. And then they are not the same as the transactions, for example, in an NGO. If you're an NGO and you have donations plus other funds, we need the record of the different funds that you have so that we shall know the income that is taxable and the one that is not taxable.
Oh,
Thank you.
Irene, if I may ask you, is bookkeeping any different from a business record? Is
Thank
there a
you.
difference? Yeah.
Thank you. Bookkeeping is the meaning of you keeping records. It was referred to as bookkeeping because originally every business person was expected to get a book and start noting the transactions.
Yeah.
That is why originally it was referred to as bookkeeping. But things have changed. Sometimes people keep their records electronically. So if there are any records that you get on mail or on the computer, you can keep them there without having to open a book and keep them in the box file. So it is the same thing as keeping records. The only difference is where the record is kept.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Irene. So you've talked about all the different records that someone can have. You mentioned sales, you mentioned receipts, you mentioned appointment letters, emails, and this looks like a lot, seriously. It looks like a lot. So how would you advise a taxpayer to keep these records?
Thank you. Like I've said, the records can be kept in documents, manual form. Every receipt that you get or invoice, you keep it in a file. You can open a file where you keep those documents. Then there are those whereby you've not given a receipt or invoice.
Yeah.
You can have a book where you keep on noting everyday transactions. For the people in retail shops, every time you sell out something, please note. For example, I've sold out 3 shirts today. Note, I've sold out 3 shirts at this amount of money and this is my total sale for that day. If you've made any expenses in your book, even if some of them don't have receipts, note. For example, if you ask someone from a restaurant to bring you food to your business or your shop, note the amount of money that you've given to that business lady who has given you the food. At the end of it all, it will help you when you're getting your expenses or sales for the whole year. Then some documents, like I said, can be kept electronically. But make sure that every document that you keep, there is backup for it. For example, your receipts that I've said you can keep in their file, my advice to you is to make copies out of those documents and store them somewhere else. For the cabins where you keep your documents, you can have locks on them.
Okay.
But you can also have photocopies that you keep maybe at your home for safety, just in case these ones are destroyed.
Okay.
And then for the electronic documents, the ones on the computer, we advise you to have passwords for them so that not everyone can access them. Then also create backups for those documents. In case these ones get lost, you always have your backups, because in URA we tell you to keep the records for at least 5 years.
Okay.
Because an audit can be done on your business 3 years after that financial year, and we ask for those records. So if you say that they were destroyed in maybe the 2nd year after the end of that financial year, for us we shall still need the records. That is why we tell you to create backups for them, so that when these ones are destroyed, you have something that will back you up.
Thank you, Irene. I think for our taxpayers, the takeaway here is to make sure you keep every transaction as and when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would like to know, what are the benefits of keeping these transactions and records for a business when it comes to a taxpayer, and then on the side of URA?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
The benefits of keeping records are quite many. I will talk about a few. one of them is when you keep records, you're able to know your cash flows in the business. Cash flows are to do with how much money comes in your business in a given day and how much money goes out. That entitles you to record every sale that you make and every purchase, then every daily expense that you make. These cash flows will show the working capital, the money that is used to run the business on a daily basis. Okay. If you don't have such records, then you'll not know how you're getting money and how you're spending it on a daily basis. Then these records help people who have different sources of income to know which source is giving you more benefits than the other. You might be engaged in so many businesses and not realizing that there is one that is taking up all of the money from the other sources. Yes. But if you've been keeping your records very well, then you know which business is benefiting you most and which one is just taking away your money. Then you can make informed decisions about whether to continue with all of them or get rid of one or two of the sources of income. Yes. Then it can help you to tell the health of your business. When we talk about keeping records, it is done over years. So if I've been keeping my records for like 3 years, I will be able to know how well my business is performing. Is it going up or is it going down? Then I shall evaluate myself and make the right decision of whether to go on or end that business. Then keeping records helps you to plan or to make a budget for your business. When we are doing budgets, we depend on I'll give an example of people who are dealing in selling store items. Yes. For example, the retailers or wholesalers. Okay. When I'm making the budget for the business, I will have to know how much money I need to inject, how much more money I need to inject in this business. Then how many more items do I need to buy for this new year that I'm starting? If you have your stock records very well, then you know the items that are moving or the stock that has been moving very fast, and then the stock in the business that is not moving at all, so that you budget for which one you should bring in and the items that you should not bring in. But if you don't keep any stock records, you can end up buying items that are already in the business, not knowing that I already have these items. The other thing is it helps you when you want to get financing from lenders. Yes. If you go to the bank or any money lender to give you money that you need to inject in your business, they will need to look at your records. If you're a taxpayer that does not keep any records, how can I be sure that you're going to pay me the money that you want me to lend you? So those records will show me whether your business is performing well, so that I also give you the money knowing that you're going to pay me back. Or if your business is not performing well, then I'll have to decide accordingly. So if you don't have any records, it is very difficult for you to access funds from any money lender. The other one is the business records help you when you're looking at your sales data and purchases data to determine the amount of money that you owe to your creditors and the amount of money that is owed to you by the people that you lend to. Those are your debtors. So if you've not been keeping those records very well, you can even end up failing to pay your creditors, and then the people that you lend to, who are your debtors, may also not be able to pay you, but because you don't keep records, you might even forget that this one owes me money. Okay. Because there are people that you can never pay until when you go to them to ask for your money. So if you don't keep good records, you may not know which people owe you money and the ones that you owe money to. Then they also help us to meet our utility expenses. Okay. If you've not been keeping records, you may not be able to pay your utilities on time because you don't know how much money you're supposed to pay. And the most important one that is in our area of interest is these business records help you to meet your tax obligations. That is the most important part on the side of URA. These tax obligations are to do with you filing your returns and paying the money in the returns, depending on how much tax your return has shown. If you've not been keeping records, there is no way you can file correct returns. Because among the obligations of a taxpayer is keeping records and filing correct returns. So if you've not been keeping any records, remember, for example, the income tax return comes after the year has ended.
Okay.
So if you've not been keeping records, how will you know that I made a purchase in July at the beginning of the financial year? How will you know that I got a foreign exchange loss
Yes.
when I was paying out money? How will you know that this asset has depreciated this much if you've not been keeping any records? When you get to your income statement, how will you be able to figure out how much money you've been paying each and every employee?
Okay.
These business people spend, for example, meals on a daily basis. But if you don't keep records, how are you going to be able to show that expenditure? So my advice to each and every taxpayer is to keep proper records. Not every day, every time a transaction happens, please note, so that at the end of the month, you're able to know the transactions that happened throughout that month.
Yeah.
And it is the only way you'll be able to sum them up to get every transaction that happened throughout the financial year, so that you can fill them out in our return for us to know your transactions, that is your income, expenses, your balance sheet items, the assets, liabilities, and the share capital.
Thank you, Irene. There is a question here. Someone says, good morning. Thank you for the discussion. What happens if you are a request for records from over 5 years?
According to the law, we are only supposed to request for records for 5 years.
Okay.
Once a financial year ends, you're supposed to keep records for the next 5 years after the financial year. So we only request for them for records that are 5 years backwards. Beyond that, we don't. Then if I request for record 4 years down the road, that is 4 years after the financial year has ended, and maybe we've gone to court, where there are court proceedings,
Yeah.
you know, we cannot guarantee that this proceeding will happen within 1 year or a few months. So if that proceeding goes beyond your 5th year, then you're supposed to continue keeping those records, because we asked for them before the elapse of the 5 years, but this proceeding has gone beyond your 5th year. That is the only circumstance under which we shall need that record beyond the 5 years. Otherwise, we are supposed to enforce whatever that is in the law, and the law specifies that you're supposed to keep records for only 5 years. So we shall only ask for records 5 years down the road. Beyond that, we don't.
Thank you so much, Irene. I think that has been very insightful for our taxpayers. I'll just do a small recap of our topic, which was benefits of keeping proper business records. One of the benefits that I think taxpayers need to know is to be able to make informed decisions. These proper records help them to also make health checks on their businesses. They get to plan and budget for their businesses. They also get to know the stock, which one is selling, which one is not, and which one needs to be getting rid of. And they also get to know and be able to solicit for funds, financial support, because they have data to support them. And the most important that you said, it helps them to meet their tax obligations to URA. And also a very small one, but important, it helps them to meet their daily expenses, which are also utility expenses for the business. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Irene, any last words for taxpayers?
Thank you very much. I just want to tell our taxpayers that we are always available in case of any need to do with education, because we know very well that some of these things are new for them. We are available to guide them. The taxpayer literacy unit sits at Kampala Boulevard in the middle of town, so you can always walk there for your assistance. Then we have offices, service offices of URA across the country. When you walk into any of our offices, I'm sure our officers will assist you in case of any guidance that you need. Then our taxpayers can also contact us on our toll-free numbers, which are 0800 117 000. Then we also have another toll-free number, which is 0800 217 000. Then we can also be contacted online on services.ura.go.ug. In case you're stuck somewhere, maybe you failed to upload a return or anything is not working out, you can send us information on that email on services@ura.go.ug, and we shall be able to serve you. Then you can also contact us on the WhatsApp number, which is 0772 140000. When you send a WhatsApp on that number, our officers are ready to assist you. That is all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Thank you for watching Tax Mchuzi.